Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to a tutorial of sorts to Roll20.net. Now, if I seem a little off on this recording, it's probably because this is now the 5th time I've had to record this. I can't seem to get the audio to work right with me, and so what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start some background audio real quick. Said background audio will likely not be competing with my voice, but we'll just go ahead and make sure that it's not going to be. So, what this tutorial is going to be for is the idea and basic principle of how to create a map in Roll20. So when you first create a campaign, you're going to be on a screen that looks very similar to this. It's going to be just a general white blob that's got nothing going on it, right? Well, we're going to show you how to take this white blob to eventually something like this, or really anything you want to. We're going to show you to take this white blob to really anything you want to, like this. Like we've got we've got tokens and Bob the Mage and the Player Killer 9000. We're going to show you how to do all that. Okay. So the first thing we want to go over is page size. The first thing you want to think about is how much room do you need to work with. For the most part, the general standard size of 25 by 25 will be fine for most DMs. Now, unless you need to work in very large scale, i.e. you're working with a very large map, then you don't need to increase the page size. But if you do, up here in the upper right hand, or if maybe you want to shrink it even, there's the page toolbar. Click there, you'll see a drop down, and then next to your untitled page, or it'll probably say start, there you'll see a gear. Click that gear, and then you'll be able to see page size, which the standard starting page size is 25 by 25. Okay? So with the standard starting page size of 25 by 25, the next thing we want to go over is all of our full toolbars. I already showed you the page toolbar. The next one is your tools toolbar, which in this order it goes the pointer, the layers, the drawing, the zoom, the ruler, the fog of war, the turn order, the dice roller, and your help icon. If you guys have not, go and look through the Roll20 wiki. It is amazing, and is definitely well worth the chance to go and look through, because it's done very well. Most of the stuff I'll be covering is covered on the Roll20 wiki. However, there are some things that, while are covered there, are not covered there fully, or are best looked at side by side. And if you don't have a dual monitor setup, it may be almost impossible for you to do. So first thing we're going to want to go over is, what do we want to do with this? Like, we want to you got to think before you just start slapping stuff in. I mean, you could do that and then just build around it, but what do we want to do? I think we want to go with the idea of a center focal point of like a map. We're going to draw like the center point of a map, and then we would normally build out from there. So you basically want to plan what you're going to be doing. Like, do you want to draw a sprawling city with lots of roads and things? Or do you want to draw this like really complex, like deep labyrinthian maze? Like, you don't want to, if you're going to be doing labyrinthian maze, you don't necessarily want to just start slapping stuff in. It probably won't work out too well. But that being said, maybe it will. Maybe you've got better map planning skills than I do. But, so for the principles of our purpose, we're just going to go to the drawing, and we're going to go to draw shape. We're just going to draw a regular shape. And we're going to draw 2 by 2 square. Okay. And then we're going to draw another 2 by 2 square. And then, because we want the players to be forced to go into a long area, and we want to draw a smiley face, we're going to draw a 3 by insert number here. So this is effectively kind of our map. And so the reason I kind of drew these off a little bit, and they're not going to be quite perfect, is so I could show you this. Let's say you draw a thing, you don't quite like how it's sized. You can actually shrink it and grow it as need be. The other thing you can also do is with the arrow keys, when you have it selected, you can move it around. Another thing you can always do, if need be, you can rotate it with the little doodad there. My suggestion though, if you're going to rotate stuff, have a very stable mouse, because this thing loves to jump around. And the nice thing is you can still move it around as need be. Now, everything in this application will use snap to grid, meaning that it naturally tries to snap to each of the grid lines. So what we're going to do is we're going to square these up a bit. Oh, and what you just saw there is if you click and hold on an open spaced area, it will do a ping to kind of alert people, hey, I want to look at this, right? So let's say, for instance, that this is our basic building area. We're going to want to draw a trap. So we're going to draw a red trap here. Oh, oops. I want to go to draw shape, then red trap. We're going to draw a trap right here. Okay? So, something to go over though is when you select an object, let's say for instance you select this object here, as you just saw me do a second ago, you can actually change its color. So let's say we want to make our traps blue. I don't know. Maybe it's a frost trap or something, right? So the first color box is your outside color. Second color box is your inside color. So if we want to make it blue and or orange and purple, I don't know. Like you want to make it orange and orange to signify there's a trap there, right? But here's the interesting fact. This is the basics of drawing, right? This is how you draw your maps, and this is how you start with the planning of these. So, but let's say for instance you don't want your players to see this trap. Well, what can you do? Well, you would select the trap and you can right click on it, and then you can go to layer, and if you take it to the GM layer by just clicking GM layer, you notice it becomes faded. You're the only one, the DM is the only one who actually sees this. If you develop maps way in advance, this is a great principle to do. Because you can literally, if you create a map 2 weeks in advance, you don't have to remember for 2 weeks that I placed a trap in this exact spot. It will be there and it will be faded. Then if you don't remember it, and you're just like, what is this? You don't have to worry about it. It's not that big of a deal. Like, it's not this like, oh, I have to commit to there being a trap right here, right? But let's say, for instance, if we want these tokens to not be tokens anymore, we want them to instead be map pieces. You can do the exact same thing here. Right click, and then take them to the map layer. The principle behind each of the layers is that the map layer is literally just that, for your map. Token layer is what your players play on. The token layer is really where your players get the biggest interaction from the map, because that's where you place their player pieces. That's where you place the enemies they encounter. That's where you place a lot of different things. But for the most part, it's where you're going to be doing a lot of your work. I always suggest keeping on the layers level, just keeping everything on the objects and tokens layer, and then moving things up and down as you need to, and then swapping the layers as you need to change. Layers effectively allow you to do things like, for instance, hide a trap, determine what's a building and make not an object that can move. They allow you to plan things in advance if need be. That being said, the principle of drawing layers and the principle of going over how to place objects and such will be what we cover in the next video, because this layers video, as long as the audio is okay, like I said, this is one of many recordings. I'm hoping this is the one you guys get to see. This will allow you to, if nothing else, you could always do and draw your entire city in squares, and that's completely acceptable. And honestly, even if you wanted to, you can even make player characters squares. If you really didn't like anything in the free assets, literally just draw a square, fill it in. Like, let's say for instance this guy is a paladin, so he has dark blue. Oops. Select the thing. So he has dark blue for his inner color, right? So this is now Bob the Paladin, and he can move around the map as Bob the Paladin, right? And I've seen people do that, and it's not bad. Like, it legitimately is not bad. You just have to keep in mind sizes. Like, you don't want Bob the Paladin to be the size of your house, right? You got to just keep in mind your sizes and the ideas thereof. But that's going to do it for this tutorial, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.